Hello, everyone. We're live. How's everyone doing? I'm Michaela. I'm going to be your host today, so you've seen as well. I haven't done one of these in a while, so some of you that have been watching webinars for quite some time remember me from the very, very early days. But yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm so glad to be back and on the ball and doing these things. Um, but yeah, as usual, tell me where you guys are from. Tell me what the weather is like. I'm in South Africa. Might be able to hear from the accent, but I'm in South Africa. It's supposed to be spring. It is summer. It's like 35 degrees Celsius. I'm dying of heat. I hate the heat. It's absolutely terrible. So yeah, it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. But yeah, tell me where you guys are from. Tell me how the weather is. I'd love to know where everybody is from. Um, Let me just go ahead and find the comments. There we go. Okay, awesome. But yeah, no, are you guys excited about today? Do you have any books that you are currently working on that this webinar might be of assistance to you in? Um, and of course, we are going to have a Q&A at the very end of the webinar. So if you do have any questions, pop them in the chat. We will probably go over your question during the slides, but if we don't, we will most definitely answer those questions at the very end as well. Okay, so we do have someone from New Zealand. We have Nicole from Canada. The cold today. Okay, you're just trying to make me jealous. Oh, the cold. I'm a winter baby. Oh my gosh, I hate the heat so much. We literally get like 2 months of winter in South Africa, especially the parts of South Africa where I'm in. It's in Pretoria. We get like 2 months of winter, and then it's just summer the rest of the year. We have someone from England, JD and Twyla. Hi, I recognize you too. I was actually assisting you with the book. And then we have Cape Town. Oh, fellow South African. Hi. Yeah, okay, cool. And then you have a book on retirement in edit mode. Oh, that's awesome. So this is going to be this webinar is basically perfect timing for you. London. Hi, Natasha. Pretoria, baby. Hey. Yeah, here we go. That's my people. That's my people. US Virgin Islands. Oh, that's awesome. It's always so awesome to just see everybody all around the world just like come together in one place. I think that's the best part of the job as well, just to meet people from all over the world. People that you never get to meet in general. I'm in sales, so I speak to people every day, all day long. So. Hi, I've applied to be a writer for you guys. Oh, that's awesome. So what you can do is you can literally email freelance@dibly.com and they will be able to assist you. There's also on our website, there's a freelance page, freelance with us page. You can visit that too, and then you can just apply through that. USA, Maryland. Hi, Chantel. Okay, cool. So I think maybe we give it 1 more minute just for everybody to join and then we can dive right in. Okie dokie. Let me see if I missed any comments here. No, I didn't. No. Okay, cool. Awesome. Whitehall, Michigan. We got our first snow today. Listen, you guys trying to make me jealous over here. That's not nice. 50 degrees. That's like, okay, so that's in Fahrenheit. In Houston. Jacqueline had said it's 50 degrees in Houston, so that's Fahrenheit. So that's about 20 degrees Celsius, if I'm not mistaken. Melanie has a book on couples therapy. Oh, cool. Are you getting it done through us or are you doing it yourself? Very curious to know. Oh, someone from Vietnam as well. Awesome. Okay, cool. I think we can get started. I think everybody that's wanted to join has joined. If you do need to run at any point, if you do need to, if there's someone at the door or you need to make a cup of coffee or something, don't worry, this is being recorded. So you are going to be able to actually see it or, well, rewatch it at a later point. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. So just go to the Urban Writers on YouTube, go to lives, and you'll be able to see all of the webinars that we do. Alrighty, let's dive right in. So, welcome everybody. Today we are going over a complete guide to editing and polishing your book using AI tools and, of course, other editing services as well. So, we're going to be touching on, like I said, like AI tools and editing services and self editing as well. So, keep an eye on that. And again, if you do have any questions, please go ahead, add that into the comments, and we will tackle that at the very end. So, to get started, let's introduce myself. My name is Michaela. I've been at the Urban Writers for 5 years now. I'm the admin team. I was also a ghostwriter for 7 years, and I've written over 270 books, specializing mostly in fantasy and children's books, but I did a lot of nonfiction too. Yeah, and like I said, I specialize in both fiction and nonfiction, so it's kind of the best of both worlds, I guess. Next up, let's introduce the Urban Writers. That's Dibl as well. So let's move on to the next slide. There we go. So Dibl, well, the Urban Writers was founded in 2018 by Natasha and Marco Matinho. And basically it started with a handful of writers. Literally, we had like, I don't know, I think we had like 25 writers or something when we just started. I was one of the first people to join on the fiction team because it started out as nonfiction. And it's basically just skyrocketed since then. So we have over 5,000 creative minds. We've written over 1 billion words at this point too, and over 20,000 active customers on the platform. So growing from such a tiny little number of freelancers to doing audiobooks, cover designs, book descriptions, everything you need in order to publish. We've basically grown into a company that does all of that. And we've branched out into Dibl. And well, the Urban Writers is basically just under Dibl. And then we also have Dibl Create, which is a fantastic content creation tool. It's powered by AI, but you also don't have to use AI to use it. It's just fantastic. It's an improved version of Google Docs, basically. It's awesome. It's what I use to write as well. So yeah, it's really good. So check that out. Alrighty. So the agenda for today, we are going to go through why editing matters, the different types of editing using AI. We're also going to go through the Urban Writers editing packages to see which editing package would suit you best. And then basically when and how to choose the right editing services. And as I mentioned at the very end, we're going to have a Q&A section. I do apologize if you're barking in the background. I sincerely apologize about that. We have a puppy, so she might make an appearance at some point as well. Okay, so next up, first thing, why editing matters. So for nonfiction, it basically ensures accuracy. So in order for your book to be credible and accurate, you need an editor to go in and make sure that those things are actually done. It improves clarity as well. So whenever a sentence is maybe structured in a way that doesn't make sense to certain people, the editor will go in, check for those specific sentences, and make sure that they are fixed so that anybody can read it. Somebody who's has a degree in that certain topic that you're writing on, and people that don't know anything about that topic. And that helps you reach a wider audience as well. It maintains consistency. So I'm sure you've noticed if you are a writer yourself, it is difficult to maintain consistency throughout your book. Sometimes you write a certain part of the book and it's very formal and it's very informative, and the other part you may write in a very sarcastic and humorous way. And an editor makes sure that there is consistency throughout the entire book. They make sure that all of your facts line up and that there aren't any discrepancies. It also builds authority. So a very well edited book is going to help people trust you. So if people don't trust you, they're not going to want to read your book, and they're not going to recommend you to other people either. So if you have spelling errors, grammatical errors, punctuation, factual errors, all of that could hurt your credibility, and you want to ensure that you have the authority in that specific niche and genre to sell more books. For fiction, it strengthens the narrative. So with a fiction book, I can go on talking about fiction all day long, but it's a personal passion of mine. But it basically strengthens the narrative. So when you are telling a story and you have the story in your head, it's easy to leave things out because you know exactly how that story is supposed to go. It makes sense to you. But to a reader that's completely oblivious about what's supposed to happen next or what the backstory is of a certain character, um, they're not going to know what's going on in this book. And an editor assists with that as well. It eliminates any confusion, so any back and forth, any in certain books, in some books, you have dialogues and you just don't know who's talking, and editing assists with that, and that does go into refining dialogues because an editor will ensure that your dialogues are formatted properly. It's clear who's speaking at that point, and it just makes it more realistic. You want your characters to be relatable and realistic, and without proper dialogue, that isn't going to happen. It enhances character development as well. As I mentioned previously, if you do have certain ideas of a character in your head and you're just writing the book and you're not putting those certain ideas in the book itself, people are not going to know what's going on. They won't be able to relate to a character. So an editor helps you develop that and give you a fresh set of eyes to go through your document and say, listen, this isn't making sense. This character needs to be built out more. I don't really dislike this character. Why are they the way that they are? And that way you can actually improve your document. And then it increases marketability as well. So when you have a well edited book, if there aren't any spelling errors, it is definitely going to increase marketability. No, there aren't going to be negative comments about spelling or grammar or anything like that. I can't tell you how many books I've just put down and never picked up again because there were spelling errors in it. And these have been massive books by very, very successful authors that later on went ahead and edited their book and fixed those certain mistakes. But I just never picked it up again because if they made the mistake once, they're going to make it again. So that is very, very important to keep in mind. When you are writing a book, always get an editor. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter where you get them from, but you definitely need a fantastic editor to go through your documents. Alrighty, next up we have, let me just move on to the next slide. Give me 1 second. There we go. The types of editing. So there are 4 main types of editing. It's developmental editing, line, copy, and proofreading. So developmental editing is geared towards fiction mostly. There are editors that do non-fiction developmental editing, but developmental editing focuses on plot, structure, character development, um, world building, all of those sorts of things that you need in order to create a good book. And they will give you notes, they will tell you exactly what you need to add where, and from there, you can then improve your book. Line editing is exactly as the name would suggest. An editor goes in and fine combs through your content line by line to find any inconsistencies, to fix any flow issues. They do, of course, do grammar and spelling, that sort of thing as well, but they focus on the nitty gritty of your document. Next up, we have copy editing. So that is your basic editing like spelling, grammar, punctuation, syntax errors, that sort of thing. It's your basic editing. It's the editing that you get in order to almost finalize your book when you're on the what's the name, pre-publishing draft, basically. That's when a copy editor will come in. And then finally we have proofreaders, and again the proofreader will just do the very almost surface level editing. The things that other editors may have missed, like spelling, grammar, punctuation, it's very, very similar to copy editing, but proofreading is a little bit more surface level than copy editing. Okay. Next up, edit using AI. So when you do have a manuscript, it is very important to prepare it for an editor. And the reason for this is to enhance efficiency. So you are going to you're going to enable the editor to focus on the things that they need to focus on instead of fixing small mistakes that you could have edited on your own. It demonstrates professionalism. So there's a mutual kind of respect between a writer and an editor. So demonstrating professionalism gives gives the editor the, I don't want to say illusion, because there always is a kind of mutual respect, but it gives them the sense that you do respect them and you respect their time, and you went in and you fixed the things that you know how to fix, and from there they can go in and fix the things that they are actually hired to fix. Of course, they will check spelling errors, grammar, all those sorts of things. But if there are things that you can fix them so that the editor can focus on the more important things and the bigger things in the document. This facilitates clear feedback too. So if you know that you've done absolutely everything in your document and in your manuscript that you could have done, this gives the editor a clear idea of what kind of feedback to give to you as well. Because they could be giving you feedback on things that you already know, but they don't know that you know this because you left those mistakes in the document itself, if that makes sense. So this makes sure that the editor can give you proper and honest feedback on the things that actually need attention. It maximizes the value of the editing service that you do that you do enlist. Basically, again, as I said before, it just allows the editor to focus on the things that they need to focus on. If they need to fix a spelling error on every second line, it's going to take up so much of their time, and that means that they don't have enough time to focus on the bigger issues. And then finally, it strengthens the author-editor relationship. Again, it's all about mutual respect. An editor is going to have a lot more respect for you if you give them a clean copy of your manuscript that they can go through, rather than you giving them some mess to try and sort out. Okay, next slide is also on using AI to edit your manuscript and to kind of polish it to use to give it to your manuscript, or to give to your editor. So what we suggest, of course, is Kip. Kip is our friendly assistant in Dibl Create that can literally check grammar, spelling. It can give you any sort of feedback on your content as well. You can literally just highlight a section of your book, ask Kip for feedback, and they will tell you exactly what you did wrong, what you need to do, what you did well. It's just a very, very powerful tool, and this is fantastic for getting your book ready for your editor. So Kip AI in general can assist you with identifying areas for improvement. You can engage with Kip for specific guidelines. So you can literally, if you're not sure about a specific section of your book or a specific paragraph, highlight the paragraph and ask Kip for its feedback, because it's going to analyze the content in a way that you are not going to analyze it, because again, it is in your head. You know exactly what you wanted to say. It's just putting it in the right words for somebody else to understand as well, and that's the main part of writing, right? You can also revise based on the feedback that Kip's going to give you. So make sure you do take all of the comments into consideration. Of course, you can make your own decision on that too. Is this good feedback? Do you want to regenerate the feedback? Do you actually want to use that feedback and improve certain sections, or are you happy with those sections? Go ahead, revise the content wherever you deem necessary using that advice. Then you need to proofread. So this is on you. You do need to proofread your content and make sure that you are happy with everything and happy with the changes that you've made. Go in, check for spelling errors or anything like that in your document too after you've made those changes, because chances are you've already self-edited your book or your manuscript. And now that you have more content and more that you've made changes to the document, you are going to have some errors. So do make sure to proofread your document again and make sure that the flow is consistent. And then finally, you need to finalize it for submission. So once you're happy with everything, make sure that your formatting is on up to standard. It doesn't need to be formatted perfectly, but just have it in a format that's going to be easy for the editor to go through. So clean, make it justified in some cases as well. Justified text is often a lot easier to read when as an editor. I have done editing courses in the past as well, and what I do with customer documents is I justify it all the time, even if they don't send it to me in justified text. I always justify it because it's just so much easier to read. So make sure that you do go through tips and tricks on how you can get it ready for your editor. Go through it, make sure that you've implemented all or most of those. Then you're ready to go and you can submit your manuscript. Next up, we have the Urban Writers editing packages. So currently we offer 4 kinds of editing. We have essential editing, which is your copy editing and proofreading all bundled into one package. In this case, it will check punctuation, grammar, syntax errors. It also checks for inconsistencies. So that is your basic kind of editing. Next up, we have line editing, and that includes the copy editing and proofreading that is included in the essential editing. So you'll not only get the line editing, you will also get the essential editing included in that package. So the editor will do 3 or 4 passes of the document to make sure that all of the different things that they need to focus on in each different step. So everything in proofreading is checked, everything in the copy editing is checked, and finally everything in the line editing is checked as well. Then we have developmental review. So that is our developmental editing package. So basically you can send your document through to us and your fiction. This is geared towards fiction. So you can send your fiction document through to us and we can go through it and you will get a thorough assessment from the editor to tell you, okay, listen, this is what you did well. This is what I think you can improve on. These are things that I would add to make this specific character interesting, and so on and so forth. And then you can go and you can make those changes, or you can enlist a ghostwriter to make those changes for you. And then just have a line and essential edit done afterwards. And then finally, we have the AI to human editing package. Now, developmental editing, line editing, and essential editing are for books that are human written. Okay, so if you have an AI generated manuscript, you are not going to get the kind of humanization aspect that you need for an AI generated book if you go for one of the previously mentioned editing packages. That's where the AI to human editing package comes in. So what it will include is a writer that goes in and edits content, they humanize the content, and they will edit wherever needed. They will ensure that all of the facts are there, that all of the resources are accurate as well. And then an editor will also be included. So the editor will also go in, edit wherever needed, and ensure that it is humanized properly. You will also get an ebook format of your manuscript. So it's going to be formatted to ebook that you can literally just upload to Amazon. And you will get a plagiarism scan to ensure originality as well. So if you are interested in any of these packages, give us a shout. You can always email us at sales at Dibly.com, and literally just email us and tell us, I don't know what kind of editing package I need. This is what I'm looking for, and we will be able to assist you from there, give you a quote, and advise wherever necessary. Alrighty, on to the final little bits of the webinar. So, when and how to choose the right editing service. So, first step is determining your manuscript's needs. So, first you need to assess the stage of your manuscript. Okay, so is it a rough draft? Is it oh my gosh, now I can't remember the stages. Rough draft, first draft, final draft, and pre-publishing stage. I believe those are the four official stages of the stages of the manuscript. So assess the actual stage that your manuscript is in, and then we can base the editing that you need on that specific stage. Identify areas of concern. So this means that you need to go in and read through your document, proofread it yourself, and assess areas that are concerning to you, and then edit and change those specific parts of the book as well. Because if it stays in your book, the editor is going to give you some feedback on that. But in some cases, an editor might think, okay, you're hard set on keeping this specific part in your book. So they're going to edit it and incorporate it as much as possible. But in some cases, it's still an area of concern to you. So make sure that all of the areas that you are not happy with are addressed before you send it into editing. Next is consider your genre. So, like I said, if your book is fiction, you're probably going to need a developmental editor first to go through everything. But if it's nonfiction, for example, you are going to maybe hop straight into copy editing or line editing, or whichever one you do feel you need at that moment in time. So definitely consider your genre. Next, you want to define your goals. So you want to be able to tell the editor exactly what your goals are for this book. So you want to tell them, I want this to be powerful. I want this to be super humorous and funny and just super relatable. And the editor will be able to adjust their editing style to accommodate you. And then evaluate your budget and timeline. Now, of course, the more editing you do get done, the more it is going to cost you and the longer it is going to take. So establish a budget and a timeline that you have to work with, and contact an editor, contact the urban writers, whoever you do decide to go with, and tell them, listen, I have $500. My book is 30,000 words. What do you suggest I do? How long is it going to take? And then we can give you a rough estimate of how long it's going to take and give you an exact quote. So definitely make sure that you are working with your budget and your timeline, because that helps us as well to determine what we can offer you at that point. Otherwise, we can just offer you all of the different editing packages, and that isn't actually what you need. Alrighty. Next up, we have just the second part of this little section is matching your book stage with the appropriate editing. So yeah, it's rough draft stage, near final draft stage, final draft stage, and pre-publication stage. So your rough draft is going to be your line editing. Then your near final draft stage is going to be, your rough draft is going to be your developmental editing. And if it's nonfiction, rough draft and near final draft can basically be combined together to go into copy editing. Final draft is your proofreading, and then pre-publication is also proofreading. So that's just going to fix the little errors that are still left in your book that a different editor might have missed, or the editor that you're using missed in their first or second go around. It is very, very important to do 1 or 2 rounds of editing, whether it's with the same editor or different editors, just to make sure that everything is 100%. Editing is crucial because people do get very used to their own mistakes, and if they see a mistake over and over and over again, they get they don't see it anymore. So it's often very good to write your manuscript, take a step back, just give it a rest for a week or two, even a month. I like to give it a month in my personal writing, and just leave it. And then I can go back and I can edit it afterwards, because then all of those little errors and all of the little things that I did aren't fresh in my mind anymore. So I can see, oh, this doesn't make sense. Why doesn't this make sense? I need to fix this, because I've forgotten what I had in my head when I wrote that specific chapter. So that's just a little tip that you guys can use. And again, same goes for editors. So if an editor's done a pass of your book, they might have missed a redundant mistake. Go back, get it re-edited, because it's not going to be as fresh in their mind anymore, and they're going to pick up on those things even faster. Alrighty, then the next slide is just a little bit about Dibl Create. So we do have a 7-day free trial if you do want to try it out. The link is on the screen, but you can also just go to dibly.com, just click on Create, and you'll be able to see all of the information, pricing breakdowns, everything that's included as well. Definitely recommend checking it out. You are also more than welcome to reach out to sales. That's sales@dibly.com. So you can also give us a call if you'd like, or schedule a demo. You can schedule a demo on the Urban Writers website. Just literally go to www.theurbanwriters.com. There's a button that says, or an option that says book a demo. Click on that and you can book a demo with us. And one of our agents will be able to assist you, whether it's with Dibl Create or with the Urban Writers issues, or well, I don't want to say issues, but orders that you might want to place and you're not sure how you want to go about it. But either way, reach out to us and we'll most definitely be able to assist. Okay, let's move on to our Q&A. So again, if you have any questions, anything that I did not answer in the webinar, please pop them in the comments section. I'll do my best to get through all of them. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, let's see. Is editing necessary for self-published authors? Yes, it is. So you might, when you're traditionally publishing, the publishing house would normally have an in-house editor that edits your content for you. Still very important to self-edit before you do go into that. But when you're self-publishing, you're the last line of checking, basically. So you definitely do need to thoroughly edit your book and have it thoroughly edited if you are self-published, because it's not going to be the publishing house that gets the heat. It's going to be you as the author that gets the heat for any mistakes that are made. So yes, definitely necessary. What if I disagree with my editor's feedback? And that's totally normal. You don't have to agree with their feedback. You can ask them about it. You can tell them, listen, I don't agree with this. What's going on? And they can tell you, okay, this is my thought process. This is why I think about it this way. You can give them feedback and say, okay, no, but this is actually why I did this specific thing. And you can communicate with it. And the editor might change their mind. You might change your mind if the editor states or makes a good enough point, but it is definitely natural to disagree with your editor. So don't feel like you're making a mistake if you are disagreeing with them. Just chat with them about it, because they're usually super nice about it. How can I prepare my manuscript for editing? So like I went through previously, self-editing is key. Put it through AI tools. AI tools is a very cheap and very easy way to quickly do your editing. So put it through AI, put it through some checkers. Dibl Create, so Kip basically does it all in one spot. So I definitely recommend just getting AI to assist you, or doing a self-edit yourself. if you do feel like you're up for it. If you're not necessarily a writer or a writer and you don't feel comfortable with doing it in such a high level degree, definitely use AI. What should I look for in an editor? Ah, that's a very good question. So, you want to find an editor with experience in the topic that you are writing in, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Fiction and nonfiction have very, very distinct styles between in editing. With fiction, you can take a lot more creative liberties when it comes to writing and word choices and sentence structures, which you cannot do with nonfiction. So it definitely is very important to make sure that your editor is either fiction or nonfiction. And of course, if they're, let's say, a fantasy editor is going to edit differently to a rom-com editor. So just check their niches and the kind of topics that they usually handle as well. The style of editing is important, but not as important, because if you're a ghostwriter, for example, can adapt to a style like this. If they read a book, they can write a book in that style. We're trained to do it that way. Same goes for editors. So editors can edit a book in your style. Certain editors can't, but most editors can. So the style isn't as important, but it is something to ask them as well to get some examples if they have anything that they can show you. Is developmental editing available for nonfiction? If yes, when? So, developmental editing isn't necessarily required for nonfiction, if that makes sense, because there aren't plot holes. There aren't things like character development and world building. So, developmental editing isn't that necessary for nonfiction books. You can take advantage of a beta reader in this case to actually go through and give you feedback on your content. You can also get feedback from your line editor, for example. So, and currently, if you do reach out to us and you're dead set on a developmental editor, the open writer specifically, you are more than welcome to reach out to us and we can see what we can do for you. If we have editors that have experience in developing nonfiction books, but usually a line editor can handle your nonfiction book quite well. We also can suggest having a writer hop in, and if you need restructuring in your book, a writer can do that for you as well. So they can rewrite certain sections and they can actually make the changes that they suggest in your book as well. So you don't have to worry about that. I bought a package through the Urban Writers. Would that mean my book is edited more than once? So it does depend on which editing package you did decide to go with. So by default, you have an essential editing package included. So it is going to go through twice, I believe, where for a copy edit and a proofread. But if you're doing line editing, for example, it's going to be gone through 3 or 4 times by the editor because they have so much more to check at that point. If I have a manuscript of 20,000 words, is the editor who I can ask to review and add some? Is it the editor who I can ask? Okay, I'll add more wording. So it won't be the editor, it would be the writer, that because they need to add the extra content. So an editor does not add any content, they just edit content that's already been created. But a writer can definitely do this for you. So with the Urban Writers, for example, we'll charge you a reader's fee so that the writer can go through the content that's already been written and then establish what can be added. We might at that point need an outlining package as well, depending on how many words you need to add. And then from there, they can add the extra words. But in this case, it would be a writer that does the extra words for you, unless it's a fiction book and you need their feedback on what to add and where to add it, then a dev editor, a dev review can work just fine for you. But normally, in our case, it would be a writer to do it. Okay, how long does the editing process take? So this is very subjective. So editing can take a couple of days up to several weeks. Depends on the content. It depends on the kind of editing package that you have. It also depends on the length of content that you have. So, if you are unsure about how long it might take, again, you are more than welcome to reach out to the Urban Writers and we will be able to assist you with how long we are going to take on it. We are faster than most when it does come to editing and writing. So if you go to a different freelancer, they might take months, where we'll take a couple of weeks. So it does depend on the writer or the editor. It also depends on their experience when they are just freelancing in general and not through, say, the Urban Writers. But again, you can literally just email us and we can give you an estimate. So these are rough estimates. If you need revisions, if you need to do revisions and stuff as well, that also does play a part in how long it's going to take. How do I know when my manuscript is ready for editing? Basically, when you know that you're not going to make any other changes to your book. This is a thing with a lot of writers that scares us in a sense, is you feel like your book is never really ready to go into editing or anything like that. You always want to change something else. But as soon as you get to the point where you're pretty happy with your book, you're proud of your book, and you're happy to move forward, that is when you know you're ready to move into editing. And of course, after you've done your self edits. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions. Um, okay, last question. So, what's the difference between editing and proofreading? So, editing is the main editing part. So, that would be your in depth line edits, checks, consistencies, wordiness, redundancies, fluff, that sort of thing that they're going to be checking. Where proofreading is your final check. So, that's your pre publishing check, basically, and they're going to go over things that another editor might have missed. They're not going to actually change anything to the content itself, but it's the small little details that proofreading checks. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I hope this answered everybody's questions. If you have any questions or concerns, you are more than welcome to reach out to us. Again, our email address is sales@dibly.com. If you haven't written it down or if you're unsure, just go to the Urban Writers website, and from there, all of our contact details are available. Get in touch with us, have a chat. If you want to chat with somebody specifically, you can also request them. If you've chatted with them previously, or if you just heard from somebody else that this is a fantastic sales agent or a customer service agent, feel free to request specific people that you want to chat with as well. We are more than happy to accommodate you wherever we can. We can hop on a call, we can go through your requirements, decide together what kind of package would be best for you, whether it's writing, whether it's editing, whether it's narration, whatever you need, we are here to help. So reach out to us. Our friendly staff will always assist you as best we can. And yeah, I hope everybody has a fantastic day ahead. I hope this was helpful to everybody. And I'll